Good morning, third graders. I am so happy that all of you are here to join me today for our reading lesson. So today we are going to be talking about the characters and sequence of events of a story. Let's together read our I can statement. This first I can statement says, I can describe characters in a story and help explain how their actions affect the story. And then our second I can statement, let's read that together. I can use the words characters, actions, traits, and sequence of events during small group discussions. So today when we're learning, I want you to keep those two I can statements in your mind, and then we are going to talk about them at the end. So, in a story, we have characters, and the characters are the people or the animals that take place in that story. And these characters can have feelings and emotions, just like us, so they can feel angry or sad or mad. They have character traits, which we talked about a couple days ago. Those are how we would explain that character. So the character could be honest or kind or brave. And then characters also have actions, so what the character does in the story. In third grade, we learn how to talk about characters and talk about these three things that characters have. So we're going to read this passage. I'm going to read it out loud while you read it in your head, and then we are going to together fill out this graphic organizer. So while we're reading, we're looking out for traits of a character, feelings of a character, and actions of a character. So let's read this together. In your head, Luke had almost put all of his crayons away. He organized them very carefully. All of the shades of red and pink went together. All of the shades of blue went together. Anaya was another student in class. Anaya was not very organized and not very careful. As she walked by Luke's desk, she heard something spill. Anaya turned around and saw that she had knocked over all of Luke's crayons. I'm so sorry, Luke. Let me help you pick them up, Anaya apologized. Anaya bent down and together they picked up the crayons. It's okay, Anaya. I know it was an accident, Luke said. Okay, so now that we've read this story called The Crayon Accident, we are going to start filling out our graphic organizer. So when we look at this first part, it says character name. There were two characters in our story. We had Luke and then we had Anaya. And I'm going to choose to be talking about Anaya during this. So I'm going to go ahead and write Anaya's name up here. Now the second box says traits, and remember the traits are what the character is like, so it can be honest, bossy, and so on. So I am thinking to myself that I read something in the story that reminded me of when we learned about character traits, and that was in the sentence right here that says Anaya was not very organized or very careful. And so that made me think that maybe Anaya as a person isn't very organized or very careful, so I'm going to use those two as character traits. Also, when I was reading, when Anaya decided to help Luke pick up his crayons and she apologized, I inferred that possibly Anaya is very kind. So I'm going to use that as a trait as well. So the traits of Anaya are going to be unorganized, not careful, and kind. This third box talks about feelings. So how does Anaya feel? Is she feeling happy, upset, mad? And during this, when she spilled the crayons, I thought that maybe Anaya was feeling sorry because she apologized to Luke and she helped them pick them up. And I know that if I had spilled somebody's crayons, I would be feeling sorry just like Anaya. So she's feeling sorry because she knocked over Luke's crayons. This last box here are the character's actions, or what the character does in the story. So Anaya did a couple things in the story. The first thing that she did was she walked by Luke's desk and she heard something spill. So the second thing that she did was that she turned around and said sorry to Luke, and then she helped Luke pick up his crayons. So I can choose from any of those three actions to put in this box. I'm going to choose that Anaya had said that Anaya helped Luke pick up his crayons. So I'm going to use that as the action in my story. So the actions of a character can affect the story's sequence of events. And what I mean by sequence of events is what happens in the story. So when a character acts a certain way, it can affect how the story goes. So for example, if a character is kind, they may have kind actions during a story. So they may do kind things. And that means because they do those kind things, the people around them may feel happier. Whereas if the character is selfish and decides not to help a friend, so they have the action of not helping a friend that is in need, that friend might be sad or get hurt. So because they didn't help them out, the friend gets sad or gets hurt. So thinking back to the crayon accident story that we just read and looking back at our graphic organizer, we are going to look down at that action that we chose for our character. So the action that we chose for Anaya was that she helped Luke pick up his crayons. So we're going to answer this first question here that says, how does the character's actions change the sequence of events of the story? So how did what Anaya did when she helped Luke pick up his crayons affect the story or change what happened? So the first thing that you do when you're trying to think of this is you look at what happened next in the story. So let's find the part in the story that talks about Anaya helping Luke pick up his crayons. And that's right here. It says, Anaya bent down and together they picked up the crayons. Now we look at what happens next. And what happens next is Luke says, it's okay, Anaya. I know it was an accident. So right after Anaya helped Luke pick up his crayons, Luke forgave Anaya and they moved on. So the way that Anaya's actions changed the story is that Anaya felt sorry for dropping the crayons, so she helped Luke pick them up, and this action made it so Luke was not mad at Anaya and accepted her apology. Now looking at the second question, it says, what might have happened if the character's actions were different? So had Anaya not helped Luke pick up his crayons, what would have happened? And so I'm thinking that if she had just came by and spilled Luke's crayons and not helped him pick them up, Luke might have gotten mad and he might have called her a name. So I'm going to write that down. So in stories, characters do certain things, and those are called their actions, and those actions decide how the story is going to end up. So because Anaya helped Luke pick up his crayons, Luke was still happy and he accepted her apology.